going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. So, what is the eviction process like in Massachusetts in 2024? Not a video I really want to make, but I figure this might actually help other landlords out there or people that are considering buying multifamily properties, especially ones that come with problems. So, me and Duke here, we're going to go through our first eviction ever without a lawyer. So that's the first thing. So I want to catch you guys all the way up to right now. From the day I bought the property. I bought the property and there was 2 apartments that had people in them, 1 that did not. The 3-bedroom had no one in it. 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom had people in it. So they were asking for the 1-bedroom to leave because it hadn't been touched in like 30 years. It was a meth house. Yeah. It was a meth house for a long time. And they asked those people to move. They offered to pay for their move, you know, and it took months. And the lady ended up committing suicide up in the apartment, which is horrible. Yeah, the guy left. She committed suicide. Took a bunch of pills or something. And, I moved into the 1-bedroom, and the people below me in the 2-bedroom came with the property. A government program actually paid for their first, last, and security to move in here, which I never found out about until after I bought the property. Previous owner neglected to tell me that. She just said that they were good tenants, never had any problems. Right. So the second I got this place, there was a full construction-sized dumpster full of trash from the basement, this apartment, and the backyard. There was like doors and door frames and boards with nails sticking out of it just ditched into the back of the yard. There was bins of chemicals and engine oil and all kinds of stuff just thrown in the back corner. There was pipes and poles sticking out of the lawn. So it was like really unsafe for kids to be here, but there was a lot of kids here. The chimneys were about to fall off the roof into the driveway. Probably could have killed somebody. One good storm, both of those chimneys were going down. We had pipes freezing because there was broken glass in the entry door. There was all kinds of peeling paint. The tenants downstairs did not have a bathroom door. They did not have a bathroom door. They had a washing machine in the kitchen and a dryer in the basement, and both of them did not work when I moved in. The 3-bedroom had no laundry, so I had to get them laundry. And then the 2-bedroom, I ran all new pipes in the basement, and I gave them a brand spanking new washer and dryer side by side in the basement, not in their kitchen, freed up more space for them, gave them a bathroom door. I fixed the chimneys. I had a mason come and, kind of delete the chimneys to below the roof line and then rebuild them back up even better. I took care of all the trash, took care of the exterior doors, which was letting cold in, which caused freezing pipes, and a water heater actually exploded the winter before I got here and flooded the whole downstairs. I mean, there was all kinds of problems, you know what I mean? Boilers were down, things weren't working, and I came in here and fixed all of that, cleaned up the yard, got rid of the overgrowth, made it safe. I put all new LED lights in the common hallways and the whole exterior of the property. So there's automatic sensing LED lights. So if someone goes in the backyard, it kicks on and there's light. Everything's clean, everything's tidy, everything's safe for kids. Right? So then, basically, his name is Andrew. I can't give his last name for obvious reasons, but we're going to call him Andrew C. He's approximately my age. Probably late 30s. And, this is the payment history. So basically, I had to honor the lease till the end of its term. So he signed a lease with the previous owner for 2 years. He was here for 6 months. I bought the place. I had to sign a lease with him for the remainder of the lease. And here it is. Right? And you can see everything that's highlighted in green is he actually paid. It was always late, but it was him paying, and he paid in full by the end of the month. So out of a year and a half, he paid 5 times. 5 times. Everything in orange, either he didn't pay, or he used last month, or security, or there was no rent at all. And several times I offered to pay for his first, last, and security to move. I offered there. Then all of a sudden a family member died and left a trust fund behind. I think it was like 18 grand or something like that. And I got $5,600 there, which caught him up. And then he paid the rent for 2 months, and then we started this whole cycle over again. And we got another trust fund check there, right? Then no rent, blah, 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 no rent, which I offered to pay for them to move again here. I offered to pay for them to move again here. And then all of a sudden, we get a RAFT government assistance program that they will pay up to $7,000 per year per, lease. So he used the $5,600 with me, and he used the last $1,400 for utilities. So I would imagine that the trust fund that he had, he's been tapping that dry as well for this, that, and the other thing. Basically, it was a family member that died. It was like a grandfather of one of the kids, but on the mother's side. And he knew how this kid was with money. So he left a trust behind for that kid, saying this trust can only be used for the betterment of the child, to keep a roof over his head, whatever. Can't be used for anything else. So I think that thing's probably tapped out. So there's no more trust money. There's no more government assistance, because now he has just used it. He won't be eligible again until the end of next summer, basically. He won't be eligible until... he won't be eligible until 5/1/2025. So, pretty much towards the end of next, I think he wasn't eligible until 6/1. So it would be 6/1/2025. So there is no more government money at all. There's no more trust fund. There's no more government money. And see, the thing is they've had, and there's 2 of them down there. There's a tenant, the girlfriend, a 14-year-old, and a younger child. There's 2 of them down there, and they have not been able to, either of them, which is surprising, either of them have not been able to hold full-time employment, because I figure one, and on top of that, they get $1,100 a month in Social Security, $700 a month in food stamps. So $1,100 in Social Security, $700 in food stamps, and there's 2 of them down there. I mean, only one of them would really have to go and get a full-time job. And I think it would be pretty simple to come up with $1,400 a month for rent, and then still have some extra money left over. But I think there's something else going on. The first summer I was here, I had my stepbrother here. All of a sudden, it was like the second month I was here. It was at like 1 o'clock in the morning. There was ambulances and fire trucks, and there was all these lights flashing at 1 in the morning. And then we find out after the fact that the girlfriend overdosed on fentanyl in the bathroom downstairs and got swept away to the hospital. But he said it was she thought it was a Xanax. She got it from the liquor store. It was a one-time thing, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, it was one of these months. 6/1/2024. He paid $900, He said that that was his child's summer camp money or something like that. But he says he went to get the rent and claims that his girlfriend threw the rent in the trash at the car wash by accident. Right. Right. And then, on top of that, I was outside their door, right outside their front door. I was fixing a cast iron pipe. I was trying to patch it up because the pipes really need to be replaced in that area. The foundation needs a little bit of work under that apartment. There's like temporary supports in. There's so much work that I need to do, but I can't do it with them there. You know what I mean? And I've told them for, 4 months that when your lease is up, I'm not renewing. You need to look for another place to go. I'm offering to pay for you to go. You know what I mean? But I was standing outside the door, and I heard the girlfriend crying about that they couldn't. It was like she was giving up. Like, we can't even afford gas in the car, and she was calling him a junkie. And I'm like, okay, we got an overdose in the bathroom, and now she's calling him a junkie. Okay. And then just like a few weeks ago, I'm pulling up to the house from work, and I had my buddy with me. I have a witness. His baby mama, or his kid's mother, however you want to say it these days, she was in the driveway, and they were having a screaming match, and he was saying, "I don't roll up on you, so don't roll up on me." And then she yelled to me, and she says, "You're renting to a dope fiend." And I'm like, okay, now the puzzle pieces are starting to fit together here. So after we started putting some puzzle pieces together, I was down in their basement, in their section, which I have right of way because I need to get to my electrical panel. You know what I mean? I found a shoebox full of scratch-offs. I'm like, that's weird. Right next to that was another shoebox full of scratch-offs. Like, that is really odd. And then I remembered, dude, every time, so stuff blows out of the trash bins all the time, especially on their side of the house. The other side of the house is spotless usually. But on their side of the house, I find scratch-off tickets in the bushes, in the weeds. I mean, they're all over the place. They seem to multiply quickly. And you can see this is their side. There's like old furniture, cans of Fix-A-Flat, there's bikes, there's old carpets, there's car parts, there's jugs of oil, there's sleds, there's chairs. Yeah, you can see more junk furniture and bikes, and it's like impossible for me to and car jacks. There was an oil filter wrapped in a rag with a funnel, and it leaked, and there's a huge oil stain now on this concrete block here, which is really aggravating. Yeah, car parts, because supposedly he took his girlfriend's car out driving, which he doesn't have a license. He crashed into a mailbox and took the whole side of the car out. And then I'm demoing the front stairs, the front entranceway into this apartment. I'm trying to finish that so that this apartment up here is all nice. They have their own private entrance. It's nice. I was going to just sand and repaint the stairs, but then I figured out everything was veneered and just really shitty put together. So I'm going to rip it all out and do new, do nice. Make it nice, but underneath the stairs, which directly below these stairs is also their entrance to the basement, and they store stuff under the stairs. And son of a bitch, another scratch off. You see how that's starting to, it's not looking good, you know what I mean? Alright, so here's where it gets expensive. I contacted several lawyers, man. I've probably contacted 4 or 5 lawyers, probably more than that, and actually, and like 3 or 4 didn't even get back to me. Never even got back to me. I had one lawyer that said it was $5,000 down. But he wasn't, you know what I mean? He seemed like, oh, the laws these days, you know how it is, and it's probably going to be like 5. And it could go all the way to $10,000. And I'm like, what? No. So I kept looking and looking. And I found 2 different lawyers that were coming in at the same price. It was $3,000, or a little under $3,000. It was like $2,900. But that only gets you up to the first court date. And basically, for that $3,000, all they're doing is serving the notice to quit and getting you to that first court date. So you need to go online and look up the Massachusetts notice to quit, because it's very, very specific, which I can't show you because his name's on it. But there's a Massachusetts specific notice to quit, and there's 2 different ones. So there's a 15-day notice to quit for non-payment. And then you can wait 15 days and then go to the next step. But beyond that, there's a 30-day notice to quit, which is asking for, you know, your house back, which it's crazy that you have to ask for your house back. You're asking for repossession of your house. That is a 30-day notice to quit. So for a 15-day notice to quit, you have to give them the Massachusetts compliant, 15-day notice to quit, plus you have to give them, which it kind of comes with it. If you find it online, it comes with it. But attached onto the notice to quit is the raft. It's a government program that you give that to them with it, and it says like, oh, the landlord can't kick you out, and here's a government program, and you should file for this, and you should try to. And I get what they're trying to do is they're trying to promote tenancy and try to keep people from being displaced. But there's so many people just taking advantage of the system right now, and this is one of those cases. He's trying to take advantage and stretch it out, and he knows when he's going to actually have to, get his shit together. And until then, he's going to continue to sit down there and do drugs and whatever else he wants to do. But you have to get that notice to quit and have it served. It's like $50. Once that is served, you wait the 15 days, you go to the court. And then you have to pay, I think it's like $5 for a summons. You fill that out. You send it to the constable. It's another $50 or $60 to have them serve that. Then you get that back. And once you have those 2 things, you can go back to the courthouse again. And you can actually file for the court date, which is $130 to file for the court date. And then you will get your official court paperwork here. With your court date and everything. So mine is tomorrow. And this court date is for non-payment. Right? So I'm hoping to show the judge, and there's also been other things that have happened during his stay. Like the 3-bedroom people, they moved too many people in. I had no control over that. I asked them to have those people moved out, and they did. But they moved family from another country, and I understand that. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to start a new life, and they're business owners, and the dude they work 7 days a week. And I'm like, dude, just because they caused a cockroach infestation that made it into all 3 apartments. So I had to have Terminex out here. And basically downstairs was trying to use that as leverage against me. Saying that I should be ashamed of myself and that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. which I have right here from Terminex, I have 9 different visits. 9 different visits. And on the very first visit, and the guy even put notes. He says apartment 6 was not ready yet. And then it shows all the times that they were serviced and blah, blah, blah. And then right towards the very end, where is it? It was one of the last visits. He told me that he had roaches again. You know, I should be ashamed of myself. Yeah, here we go. It was visit number 8. So basically, he said he had roaches, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to send them out immediately, which he told me on Friday. Obviously, I couldn't have them out till Monday. Terminex showed up, and you can see in the notes, it says, tenant would not let me treat apartment for roaches, because he said his leg hurt. And I said, do you want to reschedule? And he says, nah, I think we're good. And I also have a text right from the Terminex guy. And I was asking him, you know, because every time this guy came, he would see them and he would say, hey, do you want an extra treatment in your property? And he says right here, come on, camera. He denied me service. He denied me service for an extra treatment that you scheduled. And on multiple occasions, I asked the woman if they had any pest issues inside, and she said no. So he was already here treating the other apartments, asked her, because they're always outside smoking. He said, hey, do you have any problems? You need an extra treatment? And they always said no. And I have it straight from the horse's mouth. So, you know, I'm just trying to cover my bases, you know, wherever I can. I've got pictures of the state of the place, which I've asked them to clean that up multiple times. And for somebody that's home all day and doesn't do anything all day, his youngest kid goes to school and actually gets delivered. It gets dropped off by his family member. He doesn't even have to go pick them up. And he claims that he can't work because his 14-year-old son refuses to go to school. Refuses. So he does schooling from home on the computer, and legally by law, he needs to be home during those school hours. And that's why he cannot work. Right. Alright, guys. I just got back from my first ever court experience, I guess, as a landlord. And you know, if you call lawyers, they're going to throw some crazy numbers at you. I got like 5 to 10K and then 3K, and it's all over the place. And they make it sound so scary, right? Like you're going to be sued into oblivion, and oh my God, you don't know the laws, and you got to do it just right, or you're going to be screwed over. And they really make it sound to be like, oh my God, I better get a lawyer. But I went with no lawyer. Anyways, I just went online, did my research, made sure that I went to court with my ducks in a row. I made sure that I was prepared for anything they were going to throw at me. I didn't even have to, honestly, we didn't even get there. I didn't have to show pictures. I didn't have to show payment history. I didn't have to show anything. So pretty much I get to court, and you're not sitting in front of a judge immediately. What they try to do is they sit you in a room, and they'll pair you, like you're in a room at a desk. You, the tenant, and a mediator. And they say, all right, guys, what's going on? What is owed? And what's the deal? right? And she says, I'm going to start with you, and points at me. And I said, well, look, the house was built in the 1890s. It's old. It needs foundation work. There's temporary support columns in the basement. There's a bunch of cast iron pipes that I've patched that really need to be replaced, and I can't do it until they leave. And I've told them that I'm willing to honor their lease until the end of the term, but at the end of the term, I need them to move, and I've given them plenty of notice, months and months and months in advance, that I'm not renewing the lease. I've offered to pay 3 times. They've fallen behind many times of 4 or 5 months, and I can't just keep doing that. I said, I can offer one last time to pay for his move. But if we drag this out 6 more months, I'm not going to have the money to pay for them to move. Do you understand where we're at here? And I said, look. And she goes, okay, well, what is owed? And I said, okay, well, as of right now, I have his last in security. He owes this month. And there's also December. So I don't want to go January, February, March, April. I'm offering to pay now, but I need a concrete date. Concrete date set in stone. And I said, well, what do you think? And I asked, the tenant, what do you think is a fair amount of time for you to find a new place? You tell me what's fair. And he said, the end of January. And I said, done. Because honestly, I was doing the math, taking this in both scenarios. If I had to wait till January 1st to serve the 30-day notice and then do all the other papers, it'll take another month before I can actually get a court date. Then it's going to take another month before we get to the court date, and then they'll probably extend it another 3 months. And it will be a minimum of 6 more months in litigation and back and forth. You know what I mean? So you do $1,400 times 6 months minimum is $8,400. I would have been out. And now we're into next summer. You know what I mean? So either way here, I'm paying something. I'm paying something no matter which way we go. So I said, look, here's my offer. I said, I'm offering to pay up to $4,000 for them to move. And I said, we're going to take last month and we're going to use it for November. Then we're going to take the $700 security deposit and we're going to use it for December. And I'll take the bath on the other $700. And then she says, well, what about January? And I said, you know what? At this point, I'll take the bath on January too. How about that? I'll take the bath on that. But by January 31st, I want to be able to go to the courts if they're still there and get them out. Period. End of story. And she says, okay, well, and she asked him, do you agree with that? And he says, well, I don't really see what other choice I have, so yeah, I'm going to take that. So here's where it gets interesting. And I was a little nervous, dude. I'm not going to lie, going in there, because I was listening to all the other cases that were going on, and they were going in front of the judge, and people weren't cooperating. I was like, oh my God. So I feel lucky. You know what I mean? Very, very lucky here. But it says the parties agree the last month rent of $1,400 shall be used for November. The defendant agrees to waive all rights to security deposit of $700. That'll be applied for December. Basically says the same thing here. The plaintiff agrees to waive the monthly occupancy fee of $1,400 for the month of January upon full compliance with this agreement as specified. And it says plaintiff agrees to provide the defendant with first, last, and security deposit to locate alternative housing for a maximum amount of $4,000. The defendant must provide the plaintiff with proof of a written rental agreement prior to exchange of said funds. So that means if he actually does not find an apartment by January 31st, not only does he lose the money, but now he's out. So he's got to actually find an apartment by January 31st. And it also states that, he's got to leave the place, swept, cleaned. No trash can be left behind. Blah, blah, blah. Which is great. So in total, I could have gone the 6-month thing and I would have been out $8,400 minimum. And it would have been a lot longer. But now that we have this agreement, I'm only going to be out $6,100, and that's it. There's no more. It's $6,100 is what I'm going to be out. So I saved myself a few grand there, and several $1,000s on a lawyer. And see, I totally understand what the court systems, what they're trying to do because of the big conglomerates, that own hundreds of apartment buildings, and they don't want these big, with tons of lawyers backing them to be able to just displace people, especially with kids. And I get that, right? I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, well, what about the little guys that, like me? I don't have all that backing, and it becomes very difficult for us. Especially when, the tenants are deliberately, playing the system, and they know they can get away with X amount of time before anything will happen, and they just keep doing it over and over and over again, making, the landlord pay for them to move. They milk that one as long as they can, then the landlord pays for them to move, and they milk that one for as long as they can. The court's telling me that I can't say anything bad. I have to be a neutral for references. And, it's like, how many chances do you need? Out of a year and a half, between two people, two adults, they've been only able to pay the rent by themselves 5 times. All the rest of these times was either no rent, late, or it was a trust fund, a family trust fund, or government assistance. So I mean, you've had months and months and months to get your stuff together. You know what I mean? So I cannot sit here and feel bad for another year. I just can't, because not only will he be displacing them, but he'll be displacing me and another family. So, I think it is what it is at this point. It definitely was a little bit scary going in there, you know what I mean? Especially after listening to the lawyers going, "Oh my God, dude, you're gonna be so screwed." But, and the hardest part for me was, $6,100. I do construction, so I don't make a lot of money. If I had to give $6,100 of my hard-earned dollars that I busted my ass for, that hurts, right? That really hurts. But I try to be smart and learn the financial system as well, and learn money a little bit, and try to be ahead of things, be prepared for things, So I started investing into some cryptos, and those cryptos happened to blow up. So now I have essentially enough money that I can pull from crypto gains. That's the same amount of money of what I'm about to lose on this tenant thing. And this money that I made is going to be, capital gains taxable, which is like big time tax, right? But now I can take these gains, offset it with these losses. Now I didn't make anything, I didn't lose anything, and I didn't work for that money. I just pushed a few buttons on my phone. All done. So, yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it, lawyers. You don't need one. You do not need a lawyer. And I do think, based on my first experience, I feel like if you're going to go into the court systems and be professional and be reasonable, I don't see how you can't come to some kind of And I think if the courts see that you're being reasonable, I don't think you're gonna have any problems. I mean, if you're a scumbag, then you might want to get a lawyer. If you've done shitty things, then I might want to get a lawyer. But if you've done nothing wrong, and you have your ducks in a row, I don't think you need a lawyer. My experience, I felt that the court systems were fair. So, just felt like I'd share. Anyways, guys, make sure you subscribe, give me a thumbs up. See you later.